Silver Creek, Wyoming Territory, 1889. When Mei Lin Zhao stepped down from the train in Silver Creek, she owned $2 for dresses, and a pair of scissors that had belonged to her mother. Everything else could be replaced. At least, that was what she kept telling herself. Steam rolled across the wooden platform behind her as the locomotive groaned and prepared to continue east. Families gathered around trunks. Ranch hands shouted names. A hotel driver loaded luggage onto a wagon while two children ran toward their father. Nobody called for Mei. She stood beside one brown suitcase and watched strangers disappear into the town. 24 years old, alone in a country that still sounded unfamiliar whenever people spoke too quickly, Mei had already crossed an ocean and half a continent. Going backward was no longer an option. She reached into her purse. $2 silver. That was all. Her mother had taught her sewing in Guangdong, beginning when Mei was young enough that her feet could not reach the floor beneath the worktable. Never rush a seam. Never waste good cloth. And never let anyone tell you work done by your hands has no value. Her mother was gone now. But the scissors remained. Mei closed her purse. Then she picked up her suitcase and walked into Silver Creek. The largest clothing store in town belonged to Edgar Whitmore. Mei entered shortly before noon. Whitmore was a heavy-set man in his 50s with a polished watch chain and the habit of examining people as though deciding their resale value. "I am looking for work," Mei said. He glanced at her. "What kind?" "Seamstress." Whitmore's interest increased slightly. Mei opened her suitcase and removed one of 4 dresses she had made during her journey east. The garment was practical enough for frontier life but carefully shaped, with reinforced seams, a graceful waist, and pockets deep enough to be useful. Whitmore examined the stitching. "That's good work. I can make alterations. Women's dresses. Shirts. Coats. Children's clothing." He ran a thumb along the hem. "Very good work." Hope rose. Then he handed it back. "But?" Whitmore seemed surprised. "But I can't use you." "Why?" He glanced toward 2 customers. "My ladies won't be comfortable being measured by a Chinese girl." Mei's fingers tightened around the dress. She could have argued. Instead she asked, "May I sell my dresses outside?" "Outside my store?" "Near the walkway?" "No." "Why?" "Because I'm running a business." "So am I." That earned the faintest smile. "Not in front of my store, you're not." Mei folded the dress carefully. "Thank you for your time." Whitmore looked almost disappointed that she had not become angry. She left. By early afternoon, Mei had found a place near the livery stable where nobody objected to her standing. She borrowed 2 wooden crates and laid a narrow pole between them. 4 dresses hung from it. Those dresses represented weeks of work. One was dark blue. Another burgundy. The third soft gray. The fourth deep green. People noticed. A rancher's wife stopped and touched the sleeve of the blue one. "Pretty." Mei smiled. "You may try it." The woman glanced toward 2 friends. "Maybe another time." She walked away. Another woman asked the price. Mei told her. "That's nearly what Whitmore charges." "My sewing is as good." The customer blinked. Mei hadn't intended the answer to sound challenging. But she did not withdraw it. The woman left. Hours passed. Nobody bought anything. Near sunset, the smell of roasted meat drifted from the hotel dining room. Mei's stomach tightened. She touched the $2 in her purse. Food would cost money. A bed would cost more. She sat behind the dresses and began reinforcing a cuff that did not need reinforcing. Doing something was easier than worrying. She was threading the needle when Boots stopped in front of her. "You make these?" Mei looked up. The man was tall, perhaps 36, with broad shoulders and the weathered appearance of someone accustomed to Wyoming's sun and wind. A brown cowboy hat shaded dark hair. His cream shirt had been repaired badly at one elbow, and his dark vest had seen better years. Yes. He examined the dresses. All of them? Yes. How much? Mei told him the prices. The cowboy studied the green dress. Then the burgundy one. I'll take them. Mei waited. Which? All four. Her eyes narrowed. You have a wife? No. Daughters? No. Sisters? One. For sisters. The corner of his mouth moved. Still one. Mei stood. Then why do you need 4 dresses? I didn't say I needed them. That was enough. Mei began removing the dresses from the pole. No. The cowboy frowned. No. I don't sell pity. His expression changed. I'm not offering pity. You see Chinese woman sitting beside stable. Nobody buys. You decide to rescue her. That's not what happened. Mei folded the first dress. The stranger waited. My sister Anna runs a boarding house at Copper Ridge, he finally said. Mining settlement about 40 miles north. Mei stopped folding. Women up there either order clothes through catalogs or ride half a day to Silver Creek. Anna's been complaining about it for years. He lifted the sleeve of the gray dress. I bring these to her. She shows them around. If somebody wants one, they pay. You sell my dresses? That's generally what people do with things they buy. Mei stared at him. He extended his hand. Caleb Morgan. She looked at the hand before taking it. Mei Lin Zhao. Miss Zhao. Mrs. Caleb immediately understood. He didn't ask. Mrs. Zhao. Mei studied him once more. Full price. That's what you said. No bargaining. I haven't. And if your sister doesn't sell them? My problem. Mei slowly nodded. Then we have business. Caleb paid every dollar. For the first time since leaving California, Mei possessed enough money to pay for both dinner and a room without calculating which she needed more. Caleb gathered the dresses over one arm. Then he glanced at the shirt cuff she had been repairing. Do men's shirts cost less? Depends. On what? How badly the owner sews. He looked at his elbow. Mei did too. That repair is terrible. My repair. I know. How? Nobody would pay for it. Caleb laughed. Mei almost did. Almost. 2 weeks later, Caleb Morgan returned carrying the dark blue dress. Mei had since rented a tiny room behind Eleanor Bennett's bakery. It was barely large enough for a bed, work table, chair, and borrowed sewing machine. When Caleb placed the dress on her table, Mei's heart sank. What is wrong? Mrs. Turner. Who? Bought this one. Mei waited. She wants another. Caleb handed her a paper with measurements. Then another. And another. Mei stared. 3 orders. For if you count Mrs. Turner. The disappointment disappeared. Caleb leaned against the doorframe. Apparently your pockets are causing trouble. Trouble? Everybody wants them. Mei smiled. They are useful. So I've been told. That afternoon, Mei began cutting fabric for her first real American orders. Word traveled faster than she expected. Mei learned something important about frontier women: beauty mattered to them, but usefulness mattered too. They climbed wagons. Carried firewood. Fed chickens. Worked counters. Raised children. Helped husbands with livestock. Some spent hours in kitchens and laundries. A dress designed only to look elegant was not enough. So Mei adapted. She strengthened seams. Made pockets deeper. Adjusted skirts to allow longer steps. Reinforced cuffs. Changed sleeve construction so women could work without tearing the shoulders. And somehow, she kept the clothes graceful. Customers returned. Then brought friends. Soon Mei spent daylight making alterations and evenings filling orders. Caleb appeared often enough that Eleanor began smiling whenever he entered. One afternoon he brought a saddlebag. Mei stared at it. I make dresses. You sew. Not the same. Can you repair it? Yes. Then what's the problem? Mei took the bag. The problem is you. Caleb smiled. Can you repair that? No. Shame. She turned away before he saw her laugh. In early summer, Mei traveled to Caleb's ranch to deliver dresses he would carry to Copper Ridge. His home was modest but well maintained, surrounded by open grassland and cattle. While Caleb loaded packages, Mei noticed a door standing partly open. Inside was an old treadle sewing machine. She stopped. Caleb followed her gaze. My mother's. Mei looked at him. She sewed. Most of her life. He entered the room and brushed dust from the machine. My father died when Anna and I were young. Mother kept us fed by sewing shirts, work pants, whatever people brought. He smiled faintly. She was better at repairing sleeves than I am. Everyone is. Caleb accepted the insult. There was one winter we nearly lost the house. Merchant came through town and bought every shirt she'd finished. Mei became very still. Everyone. 11. Now she understood. You bought my dresses because of her. Partly. Why didn't you tell me? Caleb looked at her. You would have thought I felt sorry for you. I did think that. Exactly. Mei touched the wooden edge of the old sewing machine. Caleb hadn't seen a helpless immigrant beside the stable. He had recognized something familiar. A woman trying to survive with the skill in her hands. For the first time, Mei wondered whether the 4 dresses had changed 2 lives instead of 1. By autumn, Whitmore noticed. Women who once bought from his store were visiting Mei. His prices dropped. Mei didn't respond. Then rumors started. Her fabric was cheap. Her stitches wouldn't survive winter. Her clothes were unsuitable for respectable women. Mei ignored those too. Customers knew better. Then Eleanor approached her one morning with an uncomfortable expression. Landlord raised the rent. How much? Eleanor told her. Nearly double. Mei understood immediately. Whitmore. I can't prove it. She didn't need proof. That evening Caleb found Mei adding figures repeatedly. Problem? No. That's the face you make when there's a problem. You know my faces now. Some. Mei explained. Caleb listened. I can loan you the difference. No. Mei, no. It's a loan. No. You haven't heard the terms. She closed her account book. I know the terms. What are they? I owe you. Caleb leaned back. You paid me for the dresses. And those dresses gave me customers. Because they were good. Yes. She met his eyes. You gave me one beginning, Caleb. I need to build the rest myself. He could have argued. He didn't. All right. That answer meant more to Mei than money would have. Her opportunity came from the railroad. A construction crew preparing for winter needed 40 heavy work coats, along with reinforced shirts and canvas covers. Whitmore wanted the contract. So did Mei. The railroad foreman looked at her skeptically. You make women's dresses. I make. Clothing. Work coats aren't dresses. Give me one old coat. He did. Mei took it apart. She studied where the fabric had worn thin. Shoulders. Elbows. Lower back. Cuffs. Then she rebuilt it. Caleb became the unwilling test subject. Lift your arms. He did. Bend. He bent. Carry this. She handed him a feed sack. Caleb hauled it across the room. Then deliberately pulled at the sleeve. Nothing tore. Well? Mei asked. Ugly. Her expression froze. But I can't break it. Then it is beautiful. The railroad foreman agreed. Mei won the contract. 40 coats were too many for one person. So she hired help. A widow named Sarah. A Polish immigrant named Katerina. Mrs. Palmer, who needed winter income. Mei divided the work according to skill. Soon the small room behind Eleanor's bakery sounded constantly with scissors, needles, and the borrowed sewing machine. For the first time, Mei was not merely working. She was employing other women. Then, 3 nights before delivery, she woke to someone shouting. Fire! The building next door was burning. Wind drove sparks toward the workshop roof. Mei ran downstairs. Smoke filled the back room. Everybody out. She didn't reach for fabric. Didn't reach for finished coats. People first. Only after every person was safely outside did Caleb and the townsmen form a bucket line. Flames consumed part of the roof. Several finished coats were destroyed. By dawn, the workshop was unusable. Mei stood in the street staring at blackened beams. The railroad deadline was 3 days away. Sarah whispered, "We're finished." Mei almost believed her. Then she remembered the cellar. The cloth. What? The unfinished bundles are in the stone cellar. They opened it. Smoke had entered, but the fabric remained usable. Caleb looked at the surviving material. You can't make all those coats in 3 days. Mei looked around. Sarah. Katerina. Mrs. Palmer. Eleanor. Then several customers who had come after hearing about the fire. Not alone, Mei said. Silver Creek went to work. The church opened its hall. Ranch hands carried tables inside. Women brought sewing machines. Others brought lamps, food, coffee, and blankets. Mei turned the hall into an assembly line. One group cut fabric. Another reinforced elbows. Experienced seamstresses constructed sleeves. Others attached buttons or trimmed thread. Even Caleb joined. Mei found him cutting fabric. She inspected the pieces. These are wrong. All of them. How many did you cut? 30. She counted. 28 are wrong. Caleb considered that. Then I got 2 right. You are banned from cutting. I was improving. You were destroying cloth more slowly. 30 hours later, Mei nearly fell asleep over the sewing machine. Caleb placed coffee beside her. You need rest. So do you. I'm not sewing. That is why we still have fabric. He laughed. She did too. They finished the final coat the next afternoon. The railroad accepted the shipment. Every piece. Payment arrived a week later. Mei paid her workers first. Then her suppliers. Then herself. With the remaining profit, she signed a lease on a storefront Whitmore could not control. Winter punished Caleb next. A severe cold spell killed cattle. Heavy snow damaged his barn. Feed prices rose. By February, Mei learned he was considering selling part of the ranch. She rode out carrying papers. Caleb found her at his kitchen table. How much do you need? No. Mei smiled. You don't know what I'm asking. I recognize the conversation. It's a loan. No. You haven't heard the terms. Caleb stared. Mei enjoyed the moment more than she should have. Then she slid a contract toward him. Caleb read it. Mei's business now supplied clothing and household goods to several settlements. She needed transportation. Caleb owned wagons, horses, storage space, and knew every road north of Silver Creek. She wanted to hire him. This rate's generous, he said. It is fair. You could find cheaper. I could find worse. Caleb looked at her. Charity. Not 1 cent. He smiled. Then signed. The distribution work helped carry his ranch through winter. Neither mentioned the symmetry. They didn't need to. By spring 1890, Mei opened her new shop. On the first morning, customers filled the room. Fabric lined the shelves. Finished dresses hung near the windows. Work coats occupied another section. 3 women worked. At sewing tables. Mei stood behind the counter and remembered sitting beside a livery stable with 4 dresses and $2. Caleb arrived late. He carried a wooden box. For you. Mei opened it. Inside lay an old pair of sewing scissors. The steel had been cleaned and sharpened. She recognized them. Your mother's. Yes. Mei closed the box. I can't take these. Why? They were hers. That's why. Caleb glanced around the shop. She used them to build a life when nobody thought she could. His gaze returned to Mei. Seems like they know the work. Mei's throat tightened. She accepted the box. Thank you. Caleb nodded and headed toward the door. Caleb. He turned. For months, he had always allowed Mei to decide the distance between them. So this time, she crossed it. Dinner tonight? His expression changed. Business? No. Charity? Mei narrowed her eyes. Careful. Caleb grinned. Just checking. Mei reached for his hand. Dinner. He closed his fingers gently around hers. I'll be there. 1 year later, another train arrived in Silver Creek. Mei noticed because she still looked toward the station whenever she heard a locomotive. Perhaps part of her always would. A young immigrant woman entered the shop that afternoon. She carried a battered suitcase. From it, she removed 3 handmade dresses. The work wasn't perfect. One hem wandered slightly. A sleeve had been attached twice before being corrected. But the stitches were strong. The woman swallowed nervously. I made them. Mei examined the seams. All 3? Yes. How much? The woman named a cautious price. Mei looked at the dresses again. Then at her. I'll take them. The woman blinked. Which? All 3. Her eyes widened. You need 3 dresses. From behind the counter came a suspicious cough. Caleb. Mei didn't look at him. I didn't say I needed them. Caleb began laughing. Mei finally turned. What? Nothing. You are laughing. I've heard that somewhere. The young woman looked between them, confused. Mei paid her. Full price. No bargaining, the woman asked. No bargaining. When she left, her shoulders were straighter. Caleb approached the dresses. What are you going to do with these? Display one. And the others? Send them north. Copper Ridge? Maybe. Caleb touched the crooked hem. This one's not perfect. Neither was mine. I remember. Mei stared at him. You told me only one hem was crooked. Caleb wisely retreated. That evening they closed the shop together. Mei's mother's sewing box rested beneath her worktable. Caleb's mother's scissors hung beside it. Two women who had never met, born on opposite sides of the world, had left behind the same inheritance. Not money. Not property. Skill. Persistence. The belief that honest work deserved dignity. Caleb waited while Mei locked the front door. They had married several months earlier. Marriage had changed less than people expected. Mei still owned her shop. Caleb still ran his ranch. Her wagon still paid his ranch for transportation. His sister still sold Mei's clothing at Copper Ridge. They shared a home because they wanted to. They shared work when it made sense. Neither had become the other's rescue. They walked toward the ranch wagon. Caleb glanced at her. How much did you have when you came to Silver Creek? You know. Tell me. $2. And? 4 dresses. 3.5 good dresses. Mei stopped walking. Caleb. One hem was crooked. You bought it. I bought all of them. She tried to remain offended. She failed. Caleb smiled. Mei looked back through the shop window. The young woman's 3 dresses hung inside. Years earlier, Mei had believed those $2 represented how little she had. Now she understood differently. She had arrived with $2, yes. But she had also arrived with her mother's scissors. Years of skill. For dresses nobody else could have made exactly as she did. And enough pride to refuse a man who tried to buy them until she knew he respected the work. Caleb had not purchased Mei's future that afternoon beside the livery stable. He had simply become her first customer. The distinction mattered. He opened a market. Mei built a business. He respected her refusal of charity. She later offered him work instead of charity when his ranch struggled. He gave her his mother's scissors. She gave another immigrant. Seamstress the same thing he had once given her, not rescue. A customer. A beginning. Mei slipped her hand into Caleb's. Behind them, Silver Creek settled into evening. Tomorrow there would be orders to fill. Fabric to cut. Wagons to load. Bills to pay. Probably another saddlebag Caleb would insist needed sewing. Life had not become easy. It had become hers. The Chinese seamstress had arrived in America with only $2. A cowboy bought every dress she made. But the most important thing Caleb Morgan gave Mei Lin Zhao was never money. He treated her work as though it had value before anyone else in Silver Creek did. And once Mei had been given that first fair chance, she built enough doors of her own to hold them open for the women who came after her.